Welcome everyone. I am Renzios, and this is just another podcast. I am joined by my two friends.
Goldenfox.
Jonathan Moline.
There we go. And we are going to be talking about very linear and non-linear gaming. So a lot of let's start off with some well-known games. Metroid, Super Metroid, and Mass Effect. How do they work? Metroid is one of those games that's known very well throughout a lot of people. 16 million copies sold, and it does a very well game. It's one of those games where you're platforming, and it has the whole Legend of Zelda style searching for items and everything. But throughout the entire Metroid game, it's not entirely open world. It's more linear because you can't access places early on without specific items or equipment. And in Mass Effect, you just run around Citadel. The game becomes completely open world. You just go through universe, through galaxy, exploring planets, or if you want to go to the mainstream storyline, which is incredibly short, it's still rather open-ended on how you can do things. You guys could feel free to speak, by the way.
Okay. Okay.
Metroid is it is particularly linear, but it's done in a way that allows you to explore, and I think that's where it kind of starts on. Said in Mass Effect, you have the option to explore different areas as long as you want, as much as you want, and you can still proceed on with the main missions.
Indeed. And now you never got into Mass Effect. You just couldn't get into it.
I had a bit of a history behind that game. My brother is a huge Mass Effect fan. Or I think he was. He didn't like the ending of Mass Effect 3. So
Nobody does.
No one did.
That upon playing it, I wasn't completely to what these games like Mass Effect were. So periodically I got frustrated with one mission after another, and I couldn't tell which one was the main mission, which ones were the bonus missions. What? Oh, okay.
I'll edit that out, don't worry.
Yeah, that's going to have to be edited out.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, go ahead.
Anyways, periodically I got frustrated with a couple of stages, which was hard for me to tell whether or not to have some assistance with my brother. Now, at one point, he told me some things that I didn't know about that the game was supposed to hint you at that you had to think critically of. And on top of that, there was like one final stage to the final boss in the game where he said he would do it for me because he thought it would be too hard for me. So that didn't help out much either when it came to my issues with Mass Effect. When it comes to playing almost any game, I want to be able to figure things out myself. No need to use a strategy guide or anything like that, so that way the game can stand on its own.
Yep.
I don't want to say if it's a good mentality or not. That's just how I feel, because because of the many things that I had problems with on Mass Effect, I wasn't fully accustomed to it, and because of that, that's why I didn't enjoy the game as much as everybody else did.
Well, you said that that problem could stem from you and your whole Donkey Kong 64 fiasco.
Oh my god.
Don't even get me started with that game.
Oh, we will. I want to hear things. But that's understandably so. If you're not used to a certain style of game, and I am the same way, Goldenfox. Some of my bigger issues with a game will come from like if I have to use a strategy guide to, complete the game or something, I'm not going to be happy with it. It ruins the immersion for me. And for games like Mass Effect, you really have sometimes it just really takes time to understand it. Like, I don't like using strategy guides. I never really got into that. Unless if, I'm going for 100% through and I can beat the game on my own already. At many, many places. Like, for me, even the original Paper Mario, I got stuck at that for so many years when I was a kid because I was stupid enough to not read the dialogue. I was just like, yeah, I can't figure out how to get through this forest. And because I think the forest scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid too. So
Really? Really? It did?
I never ended up passing that until like I think I was like 10 or something. My sister's friend was like, "Oh, you have to do this. You have to look for the differences in the path." I'm like, "Really?" And then you'd think I'd have a bigger issue with that game from.
Well,
But no, it's-
that also stems down to conveyance in how the game is designed, like how certain not levels design, but how game environments are designed in particular ways that allow you to think or figure out what you're supposed to do next. I would refer to other games as examples, but it would kind of change topics very
Oh,
easily.
it won't. All these games fit into non-linear and linear topics, so just about any game works.
Okay. Um, if the games are going to introduce you to different abilities or you're able to do in certain games, I think there has to be a way to get the gamer to understand and not just throw in dialogue. Um, if I were to bring an example, and it's probably going to be an obvious one, if you've seen Ego Raptor's sequelitis on Mega Man X about the intro stage, you would probably get what I mean. The way it's designed, where your character appears on screen, you experience with the different buttons from either shooting, jumping, shooting, man, or you're stuck in a ditch. To the point where you're stuck in a ditch and you have to figure out how to get out, and you discover, oh, you can wall jump. So you discover what the game features by the way the stage is designed. Um, that to me is a proper conveyance.
Yes,
That
that actually brings up another point about the Mega Man games where I forget which specific Robot Master stage it was, but at one point, there's platforms, and while you're going through, you see these platforms. You see the platform duck under to where it will drop you when it goes over the said holes, and then it stays flat for the rest of them. That teaches you what those do without a long-winded explanation.
yes.
And that's something that the Mega Man series has gotten really well done so far. Actually, if we're gonna go on to Mega Man actually has a very non-linear game. Well, mostly anyway.
Yeah,
Mega
you
Man
have.
Legends, I know it.
All right.
Do either of you know that game?
I haven't played it. I remember bits and pieces of it.
No, What is the game called again?
Mega
Mega
Man
Man
Legends
Legends.
or Mega Man
No,
64.
no, I don't.
My God, that game is insane. That game is also one of the ones that scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. I don't know what it was, but every time I went underground and tried to shoot at things, I'm just like, oh my God, I took damage. Oh my God, I took damage, and it freaked me out for whatever reason. I don't know what was wrong with me as a kid. That game is a very good example of a franchise that basically built itself up in a linear fashion to where half the game is open world after a certain point. Well, not even after a certain point. And it doesn't really give you any hints on what to do. Like it tells you, you have to get a digging license, and you gotta go, I gotta go here and here, but it doesn't really tell you like how to get to these certain places, and it's really easy to miss something. The gameplay is extremely difficult too to get used to, and it at certain points. Well, I think the biggest way that it's non-linear is when you're actually going around the area to look for parts that you could use to upgrade and get new weapons, because that part gives you no direction on where to go. You have no idea where you're going at any point in the time. You have to discover everything. It's kind of like Fallout. You have to discover every area before you can understand where you are, and it's a huge.
Yeah.
because that game is one of those games where you truly are given nothing. You are given no direction on where to go, and some of the and that in turn makes it a very fun game to play because it's very difficult to figure out.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to figure it all out your first time.
I guess it's designed in a way that encourages you to explore.
Yes, and that's the biggest difference between a linear game and a non-linear game is
Right.
that you have some games like Final Fantasy are are linear up until a point where you get like an airship that you can physically control. Then the game
Right.
becomes very open-ended and very open-worlded. Final
Or
Fantasy VI is a good
example.
example, yeah. Because
Okay, yeah.
after a certain point, you get back to the airship and you could just start doing whatever. Final Fantasy IV does that too, and that opens up a lot of side quests.
I think it's also a bit of a stretch if I were to bring up Pokemon Red or Blue, because I get an HM to one of your flying Pokemon and you can fly from any places you were.
That was awesome. I remember the old Pokemon games. I really enjoyed them.
Well, yeah, but point being, I
They
think
are
Pokemon
linear.
it's
Yeah, that's
somewhat
true.
linear, but eventually it becomes non-linear.
That's only a half truth. In the original games, you could go to the Orange Islands, and there was no, and I think so anyway. I haven't truly beaten the games yet because I'm stuck in the Lapras cave and I have no escape ropes. Charizard and Pikachu, and I can't figure out where to go. But they're linear up until the point to where you're getting the badges, but in all reality, they don't really have much non-linear prospects to them. I mean, to get to each place, you're gonna have to go to a certain area, and each area has Pokemon that are supposed to be around your level, so that you can effectively get experience off of them. And once you pass an area, it's near useless to you. There's not that much backtracking to the
Yeah,
game.
that's what sucks.
Yeah, you can't. There's not really much revisit. They don't. You can't really revisit any areas unless you're trying to catch a specific Pokemon.
I know.
I don't know. Pokemon is a. I'd have to say that it's more linear than anything else. I mean, I understand what you're coming from with the fly, where you could just go anywhere,
Mhm.
and that's true enough to a point. But that doesn't really open up the world anymore. It's just that
Yeah,
that's just the way I interpret it anyway.
I guess so.
But yeah, I don't know. Pokemon's fun as hell.
It can be
Regardless,
entertaining.
I
Though
like
it
trying to
can
collect
be.
all the Pokemon to fill up your Pokédex is like, ugh, that's a bit of a
It's
chore.
a collectathon. Yeah, you,
Yeah.
Golden. You don't like collectathon. You don't like collectathon games.
That's also why I don't like Donkey Kong 64. You cannot begin to
Yeah.
tell how frustrated it was when in Donkey Kong 64 in Stage 2, the Aztec temple,
Oh
you
That
god, I
was
play
hate
fun.
that.
the beetle is already competitive as it is, and you have to collect 50 tokens and beat him.
Yeah. No. See, Donkey Kong 64 got that right. That is just difficult gameplay. That is just legitimate difficulty, and that's a lot of things that games are missing these days. Like just legitimate difficulty.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was rare back then, as in like the company rare. Like they made some really hard games. Battletoads, anybody?
that game is the game that drives people to drink.
I heard a
Um, if you watch, you people who are watching, go watch Proton John's race with Nintendo Capri Sun Super Genius,
Oh my
and for the
god.
life of me, I cannot remember who the last person is. I think it's Peakle4444.
I I think I've seen that. It's like four screens of the same gameplay from different Let's Players.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's like, yeah, we're going with infinite lives because we're not going to be here for like 10 hours.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny because one of the achievements that they give themselves is drive a man to drink.
Or
And yes, It's crazy.
Well, yeah, it's one of the hardest games ever made, along with like what Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Ghosts and Goblins.
Oh God, no.
No, no, Battletoads is on a way different league from that because Battletoads is absolute bullcrap. I mean, at least you can feel more in control in Super Ghouls and Ghosts,
Yeah.
but there's no control
I
in
couldn't even
Battletoads.
I couldn't even beat that game. Actually, Ghost and Goblins. I could not beat that game. I always kept dying at the level with the tidal wave and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, you see the wave coming by.
I know.
Okay.
My brother taught me that trick, but then when you die, you have to start the game all over again. I was like so.
Actually, when you're past the tidal waves, you're actually at the halfway point, and that's the checkpoint where you could just pick up where you left off. And that's not nearly as hard as the tidal waves are. You're just gonna have to deal with these weird-looking sponges that swell up and burst into different pieces, unless you kill them.
Oh yeah,
That's
my brother didn't tell me that.
Donkey Kong Country Returns actually is an example of a new game that has difficulty just like the old style.
one hit, unless you have your
Yeah,
companion.
but yeah, but you have two Kongs. I think they added that. I think they added that you can even when you have both Kongs, each Kong only has one heart, and if you're playing single player, you only have one heart total at all times,
Mm.
and that is total bullcrap because that game is ridiculously hard with 4 health bars. Me and my cousin, we haven't beaten it yet, and we still plan to do it. But that game is ridiculous, man. The game is just play has become extremely linear, as to where Microsoft and Sony have had a lot more open world and non-linear gameplay. Um, Prototype, Fallout, Infamous,
Prototype.
Watch Dogs.
Did you just say
I
Prototype? Awesome game.
I
It is
I
an awesome game.
I think
I
there's
beat.
a reason as to why Nintendo doesn't focus much on open world games as Microsoft and Sony does because um it's kind of jumping the bandwagon here, but I think it's because a lot of kids
Shit there, but bullshit. Because a lot of the kids today, a lot of the younger kids today, which are just all mostly total assholes.
That's
they
100%
they
accurate. And
they play games like Fallout and Witcher and such.
Yeah, there's a lot of Call of Duty, all that other bullshit.
and don't even get me started with the squeakers.
Uh,
Oh, you cheated! Oh, that's a 360 no scope, you motherfucker!
yes.
They spamming grenades and hit.
And a lot of the West were spoiled by Bethesda games like Skyrim, or
Yep.
Saints Row, or
Yep.
Grand Theft Auto, where you could just have fun running around a world.
Yeah.
One of the most one of the most non-linear Mario games that's ever come out would be Galaxy, and Galaxy is a fantastic game, but the sales for it are so low. No, Sunshine, best Mario game ever. It's extremely non-linear to a point. You just have to unlock all the worlds, and then you just go so little. Because Flood ruined it. Flood makes the game too easy. No, it doesn't. The game's hard. The game will kill you at any turn. And the game is designed around having Flood. You can't say that Flood's making the game too easy when the game is designed around having this aspect
Yeah.
of, And that really pisses me off because it's basically it's almost a full-fledged sandbox game, and and people don't like it because they want to gripe about something that's new and innovative, and gamers that you don't want innovation.
No, that in one of my Q&As, I made a brief rant about Super Mario Sunshine and that it stood away from its original grounds of what Mario was known for. However, it is reasonable that Nintendo would want to try different things. I think it was too drastic for people to grasp, which is probably why it wasn't as well received.
That could be a good point. I guess that is true. It was a very drastic change from the other ones, but that expected from Mario, and that's
It
you
it
know
is understandable. Because if I were to explain from my perspective, when it came to games like, okay, there was Mario 64 and there was Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers is, as usual, stomping on Goombas, taking Koopa shells and knocking it in different locations, obtaining fire flowers. Not much of that was existing in Mario 64, and I thought there would have been more of that for Mario Brothers in a later platformer of a game before making this drastic change. So it felt more like Nintendo wasn't complete with the original aspects to put it to a 3D perspective. And it
Super Mario
could
64 was really well received, though.
it is well received. I'm just saying it didn't have all the features that a lot of us remembered from Super Mario Brothers. Like, okay, so in
Well, it's
Mario
a 3D
64,
game. You can't expect the same thing over and over. Also, Jonathan, your typing is really loud, bro.
Sorry about that.
some people don't know that though. I think that's something that a lot of us didn't think carefully about, and that could lead to the controversial reasons behind Mario Sunshine.
Well, okay, but let me. 64 was very open world-ish. You had to get a certain amount of stars, but other than that, you had a full reign of where you could go. You had a lot of
Yeah.
different levels, and you had 120 stars that you could get, and you
Yep.
had no true order that you had to get them in.
Right, right.
And thinking about it now, I see a lot of that in Super Mario Sunshine. And I think that people hate floods. And thinking more about it, they wanted the same thing. They saw Sunshine as a possibility of a new Super Mario 64. But then they went
Yeah.
ahead and added an entirely new gameplay mechanic that was incredibly innovative and fun, and that totally
Yeah.
broke the norm.
It
And they're
was.
just like, this isn't another Super Mario 64. This isn't what we wanted, and that's
Complain,
depressing.
complain, complain, complain.
It's what bronies do, but even non-bronies do it. It's
Oh
gamer
yeah.
communities do it. Everybody does it,
The whole
and
world
the
does it.
Call of Duty community out there.
I
I
know.
just hear nothing but negative things about the reputation of the Call of Duty
Well,
franchise.
the entire Call of Duty franchise is literally designed so that people have to get rage and bitch at each other.
Mm.
I can't understand why it took off so. I can't understand why it's still doing so well, but it is. That's just
Hmm.
what the game is designed for, I guess, and I guess people like that.
Eh, I play it a few times, but if I have a good group of friends, it's fun. But when I'm in their soul, yeah, because it's quite funny.
I like the way you did that. Oh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. It's Call of. I don't. I can't. There's nothing to really say about. I don't know what kind of game Call of Duty is. Technically, it's linear.
Hmm.
Technically, it's you don't. I don't know.
It's very.
I'm gonna put that under linear because there's. I don't know. There's not really much you could say to that.
I know it's really linear. It's like you can't do anything.
Well,
You can't.
well, Call of Duty. Well, I don't want to insult people like being told what to do. I don't know. I mean, Golden, you like having like the direction, right? Like that it's like guiding you what to do, even if it's not directly telling you.
Yeah, somewhere around those lines.
Well, I guess that's why you didn't like Donkey Kong 64. That game didn't tell you jack squat. It's just like, here, go out into this world and find shit.
It wasn't just that, but going to the trouble of having to obtain those items was such a challenge to a degree.
Time limit.
Oh god, that. If you found all the blueprints, you had a lot of time, though.
If you didn't, you'd be screwed.
The final boss fight's really, really good, though. I still have yet to beat the game. I will probably beat the game on a Let's Play at some point. But that's going to be absolute hell to do.
Yeah, it would take hours to do. I mean, jeez.
My brother.
Well, Nintendo Capri Sun did an effective one. He got all 201 gold bananas.
Yeah, looking for all the gold bananas alone was just like intimidating. Like, I'm used to. And every other item that you're given.
That game is to this day, I think, still the biggest collectathon game that's out there.
Yeah, I never did complete
because
the game.
It has the most collectibles ever. Because everything that you have to collect is multiplied by 5.
And because it has a percentage, it seems like the game is encouraging you to get everything. So put that as the icing on the top.
Yeah, no, it is. There's no reason it shouldn't encourage you to get everything, though.
Get everything. Get everything.
Just yes. It is the game that truly... I want to make a ginger joke here. It's the game that devours your soul more than gingers. What?
And that's the game where I wound up playing death metal too.
That's so suiting. Watch it all burn. Oh god. Yes.
That's awesome.
Kill the tomatoes. And just making freaking music specifically for that game. Bananas.
Yeah, one of my friends actually almost thought about doing that.
Making a death metal song?
Banana.
No, he did.
Banana.
That's why there's so many holes in his wall.
Oh. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Okay, enough about this. We're getting way off topic. At least before we were talking about games. Now we're talking about holes in the walls from death metal. Hey, look! If it works, it works, and I believe that totally works.
Yep.
But I don't know. I still love Donkey Kong 64. Like, as a kid, I never really beat a lot of games. Like, I had Donald Duck going quackers. That was a linear game if I've ever seen one, but that game was strange. That game, I think, still scares me to this day.
Well, there's a lot of games that are strange.
Yeah, there's a
Strange
lot
games are usually pretty good, though.
There was a lot of games. I really enjoyed doing that, and glitches and stuff.
And I think those are probably why developers decided, hey, let's make more open world, because people like looking for Easter eggs.
Easter eggs are good. I like little references. I like because like in Fallout New Vegas, there's actually a direct reference to Fallout 2. Although I'll be honest, I don't particularly like Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics because the gameplay is not my cup of tea. But those are still very open-worlded games. I don't know. I guess well, in a way, Fallout 1 and 2 are like Shadowrun, And Shadowrun, I've yet to play the sandbox version of Shadowrun. That's it's like a fan made thing. That's really interesting. That I'm still playing, but the storyline for Shadowrun is incredibly linear. You can't really go off the trail at all.
Mm.
But it's still a really, really fun RPG, even if the combat system can be total bumpkiss sometimes.
True.
Yeah.
And I think this all started with Super Metroid and Mass Effect.
And then it just kept going on to more complex games.
I think you know what? I think Mass Effect 2 is probably the most linear of the Mass Effect games. And Mass Effect 3 is a little less linear because it has a little bit more to do, but not much. But Mass Effect 1 is some complete sandbox.
It was completely. The first one I recall, I think, was the best.
I like the first one the most. Yeah, what do you have to say about it? Yeah.
Well, I played it more with my friend because he owned the game, so basically I played with him. I really enjoyed exploring and stuff like that and going to the clubs in this. But
of course,
I can't say much about the missions because that was a long time ago since I played the first game, so it's kind of hard remembering a lot what I did. But all I could say, it was just a fun game, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, the combat system's not for everybody in that game.
I know, it's hard.
The combat system's just so clunky. I mean, driving a...
Yeah, they did.
You kind of have to take the good with the bad, but that's with any game.
Yep. No, how do you feel about bad endings?
Oh god, you mean ending red, blue, or green?
Yeah.
I've heard so much of that.
Golden, at some point, I want to stream the game with you in the call watching, and I just want you to watch the entire amount of bullshit so that you can understand it. Because I think that you might enjoy watching the game more than you might enjoy playing it. But that's just my opinion.
Well, I played some hard games, and I can understand some people's amusements with those who play hard games and watching their butts get kicked. So,
I was enjoying that last night with Star Fox 64. Linear to a point. Bro, you suck at that game. I'm sorry. It's all good though. Just messing with you. But, yeah.
On N64.
That's not... The first Ghost Recon was on N64?
No, sorry. I'm getting confused. Rainbow Six. I remember playing the very first Rainbow Six game.
Was on N64?
Yeah.
How did that work?
It was very frustrating. I've only beaten it once, and I couldn't beat it again.
Huh.
It was but it was a very good game. Very hard. Of course, you had to rescue hostages quite often. It just got so frustrating. I'm like, it took me like 3 years to beat the game. 3 long bloody years.
Oh, wow.
And then I didn't touch it again.
See, I like games where you have branching choices. Like, you could use stealth. Watch Dogs does a decent enough job with it.
True,
like,
it does.
That's a sandbox game if I've ever seen one, and it's... For what it's worth, it's a good game. The storyline is the most interesting part of the game, but the gameplay was so underwhelming. But it does have several games. You could do stealthy kills, or you could just go in there and shoot everybody up.
Yeah, that game. I got that game because I wanted to try it, and I really enjoyed it because I like the hacking and I like all the unique things you can do in it. But
it has a lot of choices and it's very open-ended, and I like that about the game. But the hacking doesn't feel like it does very much.
No, it doesn't. Well, besides listening into people's conversations.
Okay, we need to get back into territory that Golden knows because he doesn't play that many new games.
Yeah, true. We need to
N64 is our... Wait, Golden, you ever play... how many PS2 games have you played?
It's kind of hard to keep track of. I
Well, not
played
well.
King. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I like. Well, yeah. Whatever games you've played is fine. I don't need like a specific number, but like, did you
Uh,
like the PS2? Is more of what I'm asking, I guess.
um, I can't really debate on whether or not I like the PS2 or not because I don't know if I played enough games. I remember playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, Gran Turismo, um, Trouble playing, a little bit of Final Fantasy X, and what is that one other racing game? Tokyo Racing or something like that.
Oh, you haven't even played Sly Cooper.
I was told a lot about that one. Unfortunately, I never got my hands on it.
I will have to show it to you because Sly Cooper is incredible.
My
I,
girlfriend has
I
the entire collection.
I have there's
Lucky.
a friend of mine. He goes by Toon Critic, and he talks a lot about that game. He's a fan of that, and I think Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, we should have brought Tune in here.
He's
Think about it.
he's a fan of those games. I don't know what his feelings are with many other
Yeah.
games
Well,
out there.
okay. Well, that brings us into the genre of open. Well, actually, those are very difficult games to put into open world or not, because okay, those type of games are fantastic. Sly Cooper is fantastic. It is a very it's the mission having to you can't really choose what missions you do, but it's an open world game for the most part because you don't have to go do the mission straight away. You could go around Robin and do. There's a lot
Hmm.
finding bottles. There's all sorts of things that you can do. And one of the best parts about Sly Cooper 3 was the pirate level, where you literally just ran around the sea. You literally just sailed around the seas, blowing up pirate ships,
Yeah.
and that was really fantastic. But the Sly Cooper series is amazing. I think it does a really good mix of open world and linear gameplay, because there's a they do their best job. They do their best to make there to be several
Yeah.
different ways and successfully, and they do. But the first one was definitely the most linear,
Yeah.
as the first one didn't have the big open worlds that you had to travel around and to get stuff done.
Yeah. My most favorite PS2 game was the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
I haven't played that yet. I think I had it at some point, but I haven't really played that much.
I've heard a
It was
lot about Grand Theft Auto, but I haven't played any of the installments.
oh
Okay,
they're
Golden.
great.
At risk of treading on thin ice here, um, what's your problem with Kingdom Hearts?
It's kind of on the similar issue that I may have had with Mass Effect, and that the game doesn't tell you where to go. I was on the first few stages, which was Alice in Wonderland, Tarzan, and Hercules, but I
Tarzan
didn't
was
know where to
difficult.
go afterwards. I went back to Traverse Town, and I didn't know where else to go at that point.
Traverse Town isn't in one, is it?
Yeah, it is. It's in one. It's actually one of the first places you go after you're on that beach.
Oh, that's right. Uh, for whatever reason, I remember that being something different, but I think, um, I'll be honest with you. I got lost a lot on Tarzan's level because I couldn't figure out what to do.
It's a
Alice in
jungle out
Wonderland was
there.
easy enough, but uh, well, damn, yeah, I got lost a lot on Kingdom Hearts. It's one of the best games ever, but I did get lost a lot. I don't remember what you're supposed to do after you beat all those worlds. Like, you unlocked all the keyholes.
Keyholes. I'm not familiar with that.
Basically, well, hang on. No, keyholes is Kingdom Hearts 2. My bad. I don't remember what you're
Oops.
supposed to be doing at the beginning. I know I don't remember what you're supposed to be doing at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1. Isn't it just like you're looking for Riku or something? No, there
I
is there is like a keyhole, I think. You have to unlock the worlds, I think, or something.
I guess.
I don't remember. I don't. I'd have to relook that up or replay it. I haven't actually beaten the first Kingdom Hearts. I keep getting my ass handed,
Mm.
and it's really, really bad.
That's not as embarrassing as how I got lost in Skyrim.
Skyrim,
Actually,
Skyrim's a
it,
game that you're supposed to get lost in.
Yeah, so I can't really say anything there.
Well, I just got frustrated. I was like, yeah, this game's actually a lot of fun, and then I got lost. I'm like, where the hell's the mission? Where the fuck is that?
Yeah,
I
that's.
just got
But see, here's the problem with me. I get lost in freaking Halo.
what?
I have
Isn't Halo
legitimately
like
gotten lost in Halo.
a game?
Yes, I am really bad with directions. Like,
Oh my
I'm a
god!
lot better with it than I was now, but, like, I literally have to get teleported to people because I'm just like, wait, where'd you guys go? Where's the path that's supposed to get to?
Oh my god!
Golden, if I could still enjoy these games with such adversity, you should be able to too.
Man, if you were on my team and you kept getting lost, I'd be like, oh god.
Don't blame me, I have no sense of direction.
I'd be like, oh, there's the amateur again.
To be fair, I just overall suck at those games, but that's not the point.
No,
I can still enjoy these games with such a bad sense of direction.
no, it's all right. It's a good sense of humor always gets along.
Sometimes it's the journey that matters.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
man. Well, it's
Yep.
always the journeys that matters.
Amen to that.
Like you have
Super
to
Metroid,
always
anybody?
think about the journey before the destination, but the destination is also important too.
Yeah.
Like when I was working with Vector, that was one of the biggest things they taught me, and I still firmly believe that to this day. Yeah, it does matter how you get to your destination. Like a lot of people will say, just do it. I don't care how you do it, but it still matters how it's done.
Yeah. And there's just some things you feel you need to know in order to figure out what you have to do to progress through the rest of your game.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I like sandbox games so much, because that game is completely about the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess in some ways linear games are like that too. But in linear games, you have one set destination, and usually it's one set way to get to said destination. Now, if you die a million times along the way, that's still a journey. But you have to like for Fallout, you could take several different paths to like you could end up you could end up trailing off your path big time just because you've seen something or there's an unexpected building, things like that. And I feel like linear games don't do that.
No,
Like they don't have little side places that.
That's what I like about open world games. You get to do whatever you want, and you get to find a whole bunch of cool stuff. That's what I like about open.
It's understandable
Yeah.
as to why one would enjoy that, because it just feels like you have no limitations at all.
Yeah, it's true.
That's Golden. Have you ever played Crackdown?
I've never even heard of Crackdown.
Oh dear, I have to introduce you to games, my friend. But
There's a lot of games I may not have been familiar with. I'm just
no, I know some of the off-beaten games, but I do have to introduce you to some games. I think Crackdown is legitimately the best of sandbox games. Not because it has the best story or the best gameplay or the best anything else, but because everything you do is your choice. You don't get missions in that game. All you do is run around a town. You're literally told you're not told where to go at all. You are told that there are Los Muertos gang members and other doing whatever the hell you want to do.
Yeah.
You have like superpowers. You climb up
Yeah.
buildings. You run around and you just do whatever.
Yeah.
And there are no missions in that game, so every gang boss you kill is literally your choice. You decide when they die. You decide when you go to someplace, and I guess that is a sandbox game in its purest form.
Yeah.
Because you have no limitations on what buildings you can climb, no limitations. the cars that you get are like that's one of the reasons why Crackdown for me was such a good game, and I'm really excited for the bring
Yeah.
back they're making, even though I'm not going to get the Xbox one.
Have any of you played Just Cause 2?
Yes.
That's such a great game. When it comes to
it is a sandbox game of all colors, yes, and
the graphics are beautiful. And,
yeah, it is a fantastic game. Golden.
Yeah.
What kind of what games? What are some of the more recent games you've?
Aside from Gears of War, I played the first Portal. I still have yet to play the second one. I tried a bit of Ace Combat Event Horizon, and I didn't like it very much compared to Ace Combat 6.
I'm not too familiar with the Ace Combat games. Aren't those the games where you just you're in a ship, like your plane is just going really fast and you're trying to shoot everything down or something? Or am I thinking of something different?
Ace Combat is a flight simulator. It's not really one of those games that are linear, non-linear. They do have levels and such, but
okay, I guess newer games like what is like system wise like.
Okay. I still own an Xbox 360. I still have a copy of Skyrim. I barely played it.
Same here. I never got into Skyrim.
I did hear a lot about it. I just didn't play it as often.
Yeah. You have an Xbox 360 though, so that's
yeah. It's a start.
Pretty much most of us here probably have one.
I already know the reason why though. People ruined it for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't bother with
Xbox Live, smart man.
Yeah.
Smart.
I did it
smart
once,
man.
and I'm just like, who are you? It's like, what's your favorite movie? It's like, why are you asking me that?
Oh, because they're trying to start conversation. Xbox people are, well, that's how Xbox is very different when you even the PSN network. It's very different when you just go out and meet people, because they'll just talk about the game at hand, and it's just a rat hole, really. It's a rat hole that I'm glad I'm out of.
I've had some really fun conversations in the past when, in the earlier days when I was playing Xbox Online.
Yeah. Like that whole party system was really nice, and it was just a great way to talk to people that you knew.
Yeah.
But
especially if you're playing, I was playing Halo 3. We were doing it on Legendary mode. We were like screwing around.
That was fun.
One of my friends took the Warthog with all of us on and drove it right off a cliff. That son of a bitch.
That is what's known as a troll, ladies and gentlemen.
Everyone, we all troll. We like to be trolls in that game.
All right. Well, Golden, I look forward to introducing you to more games and seeing how you think of them.
I'm kind of not too surprised to hear that, because a lot of people are like, hey, have you ever played this game? Have you played that game? I'm like, no. Okay, I need to introduce you to that.
Yeah, no, it happens. I've been introduced to many different games myself, and I was very grateful that.
Actually, I'll tell you a bit of a huge surprise. Even though I'm a fan of the Super Nintendo, there were some like popular games from back when I was a kid that I never heard of. Like for Zelda, I never knew A Link to the Past.
Oh, really? Neither did I, but you know.
I played the game on Game Boy Advance, and I played it on the Super NES, and I absolutely love it. Similarly, I didn't know that there was a Castlevania game for the Super Nintendo. Like, oh my God, there's Super Castlevania?
Yeah, they had like several of them. There's like a billion.
Well, there's that. Blood, Dracula X, something or another. It's a really complex name, but it was considered one of the better.
Combat.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I'm a bit embarrassed to say this, but the only time my main well, actually no, I did play Super Mario World on the SNES. My sister was in the hospital and they had one, So I'm just like, I really like this game. I want to play it. I want to play it. And I never ended up getting an SNES. I guess my parents never bought one for me. But
No, you're just one of those. I presume. No, wait. You're from the later generation. Never mind.
no,
Back in the
I'm an N64 kid.
yeah. Back in the day, it was either
Back
you
in
had
my
this.
day.
Yeah,
Back in my day.
back in my day, we had either the Super NES or the Sega Genesis. The console wars were so unbelievable compared to what's going on today.
Yeah, right? Because you and me are like the old twins.
Yeah, but yeah, as obvious, compete with Nintendo, and then they made the Super Nintendo, and the two of them were just like at each other's throats.
Yeah, Sony is like, yeah, that's always the thing. There was a bunch of spin-off. The greatest system ever is the Jaguar.
Oh God.
I have
That,
I have a friend who just he has a Jaguar. He even has a Jaguar that has the rare disc thing that it wasn't really supposed to have. Just like why? I'm just like okay, whatever you want, man.
there's like one guy who's like completely praising the Virtual Boy, which is kind of sad.
I remember the Sega Dreamcast.
I heard a lot about the Sega Dreamcast.
Dreamcast was pretty cool.
The games on it
Yeah,
were awesome, man. I really
yeah,
enjoyed it.
it's just that it just didn't do very well upon its sales, and that's how Sega went out of
Yeah,
business.
because it was ahead of its time.
Sega.
I like
Yeah.
that theme. Sega.
My black.
How?
Think about it.
Oh,
took you long enough.
yeah, a lot of things.
I don't know. He's a funny guy. That guy. I eventually plan to put up videos where he's in them. But yeah. I don't know. I need to start playing more Super SNES games. Like I think the only reason why I've ever played Mario Bros. 3 is because of the Game Boy Advance version.
That could be. Um, a lot of games. Pretty much almost every Super Nintendo game is linear, so to speak. And
Well, that's because of a system limitation, to be fair. But yeah, that's.
right.
But
So go ahead.
no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
There is a lot of games out there that I would recommend, and I'm pretty sure you know most of the titles. Um,
List them
so
off.
list them off.
Sure, why not?
Okay, aside from the obvious Super Metroid and Legend of Zelda,
Super Ghosts and Ghosts, which I've played, which is fun as hell.
if you're willing to play a drinking game of playing Super Ghost,
I would be happy to play a drinking game with that. Although Golden, I have a feeling if I watched you play it, I'd be knocked out in a half hour.
no, I'm pretty sure everybody would be laughing nonstop because of the amount of times I die.
It's all good though. It's all in good fun.
Yeah, Super Castlevania 4, despite like, if you haven't played it, it's one of those Castlevania games that allows you to whip everywhere. And that's one of the things I first noticed upon playing. I'm like, oh, yes! And I can even control my
directional
jumps.
whip?
Yes, whip. I was like, yes! But yeah, it's fun. It does have its own level of challenge. And of course, as usual, like every other Castlevania game, there's a clock tower. You're going to stumble upon those a lot.
I never got what the big deal was with the clock towers.
I think the developers wanted to do that to put the gamers to the test, because when it came to clock towers, it was a ruthless challenge for many gamers based on the limited controls they had.
Huh.
But even in Super Castlevania 4, it's still really challenging to come across. Not one of the most frustrating stages out there, like the Stellar. I'm giving a little too much away.
It's okay. I'm willing to bet the two people that actually watch this are you gonna know what you're talking about.
Right. What else? There's a lot to go for. If you ever check out any of the spin-offs from Super Ghouls and Ghosts, there's a game called Demon's Crest. The game was a bomb. It flopped at the market, but it's one of those heavily It's a bit open world, but the world is small. You have the options of going to whatever stages you want to go, and they always have different paths. It's a spin-off of Ghouls and Ghosts, where you
That's
play as
branching
one of
paths, so yeah, that can technically be considered. It's not open world, but it's not really linear either. So
yeah, Demons Chris. You play as a character named Firebrand, who's one of those quote
Joshua Tree.
unquote
No.
annoying red devils or the Red Rimmer Aces, and you're on the hunt for seven crests that I no, it's not seven. Wow, I'm completely brain dead.
It's
It's
okay,
it's
it
a game
happens.
it's a game where you collect different crests that grants you different abilities. Like there's ground, which is for earth, one for water, one for flying. You already have fire, so no need for references of Captain Planet or Avatar: The Last Airbender. um,
Hey, Avatar: The Last Airbender is fantastic.
it is a great series. Um,
Not to bring you back for a podcast about series and animes, technically.
actually, let me see. Because there's a lot of games to go out to look for. Chrono Trigger is
Chrono
one of those
Trigger's
games I'm
so
still.
good.
Yes. Earthbound is considered one of those games that are heavily underrated.
Yeah, it
Mega Man
was.
X is pretty obvious. Let's see what else. Oh, the first Star Fox.
Yeah, the one for the SNES, I want to believe.
Yes.
That one is really good. It's basically the predecessor to 64.
Right. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4: Turtles in Time. It's a beat 'em up game.
I think I like that though.
Oh yeah, it's very very addicting, and it's just like no matter what, like you hit so many ninjas, and it first you think it's tedious, but you're still like hooked on it. So it's just one of those games that just work when you play it. Um, there's some shooter games. For the most part, there's Gladius
Contra,
3.
no, Contra's
Oh,
like good.
Contra 3: The Alien Wars. It's difficult in its own way, but you have the option to increase the amount of lives, and yes, you have to beat the game twice.
Super
Um,
Ghouls and Ghosts, you have to just beat the game all over again. Developers.
well, not only that, but in Super Ghouls and Ghosts, the final stage, you have to have that goddess's bracelet to take out Astaroth and Emeroth, and it's just, uh. In Contra, it's just a rerun with just like a little harder controls. There's Super Mario RPG,
Which is so
Yoshi's
good.
Island. Yeah, there's a couple of other shooter games. There's Sunset Riders. Not many people talk about it. Street Fighter.
Yep,
There's many
remember
different
that.
kinds of Street Fighter games. Killer Instinct
Oh
is a very
yes,
interesting
yes.
one.
I love the
Didn't
sound.
bring that back on the Xbox One or something
It was supposed,
I
yeah, it was supposed to be number 3.
It was like a remake.
let's see. There are the later Mega Man games that came out after the NES. Like there's Mega Man 7, which I still have yet to play, but they add on some like new features. Like they have a currency when you go to collect bolts. It's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, I've heard a little bit about that. I know a little bit about the like original style Mega Man games. Although I know I'm gonna get a lot of hatred for this, and I don't care. But I prefer the Battle Network series.
Nothing against that. Earthworm Jim and Donkey Kong Country.
Both fantastic games.
As
A lot of these are more well known. Like Donkey Kong Country was a game that like everybody likes.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
It's a
I love
classic,
it.
Yeah.
man. It's a big nostalgia factor.
Oh, that game brings back so many good memories.
Yeah, there are some shooter games like there's Gradius 3, I think it's what it's called, and there's also a game that I've still played and still have yet to beat, UN Squadron from Capcom. It is it's fun, but it's really
What
hard
kind of a game
because
is that?
it's control whatever pilot you choose to fly with. Well, you choose a pilot, you choose a model. Like they have
Oh
an
yeah, I think I know.
F4.
The only game that for whatever reason that comes to mind, I know another one, but I can't think of the name. So I'm gonna just say Black Hawk Down. I think is a game that's like a shoot 'em up. I want to say
I know that Black Hawk Down was an event that happened in the early '90s.
it was a movie too, but I'm talking about. I
Yeah,
think there's like a game of it, like something about Black Hawk Squadron or something. I don't know.
um,
You're like in a helicopter. Okay, let me try to describe it. It's
Oh,
basically
I think you're talking about Firepower 2000, 3000, something
maybe.
like that. Yeah, it was made by Sunsoft. I would have to look into that one
Like
because,
it
like I said, there's
you move around with like a joystick or something, and it's it's like a line of fire, and like you just like every time you fire, it's there are enemies on the screen. Galaga is one of the is something I could say, but it's you have more control of the ship than in Galaga or
right.
the thing.
There's just a lot of titles to look out for because the Super
Yeah.
Nintendo like did so well upon many of its releases that some of them got overshadowed. Like there's what else is there? Wild Guns, Illusion of Gaia.
I've
Um,
heard about that.
yes. I'll tell you this much. There's a
Secret of
list from
Mana.
the yes, Secret of Mana. I heard about it. I still have yet to play it.
Oh my God, Secret of Mana is actually really cool. I
Yes.
think there's a way that you can online with people. Like there's somebody like made something where like you can have like a co-op online. Because I know that Nintendo Capri Sun and Anirian were doing that for a while, and granted, I don't know if they live near each other, but I
Mm.
think there's a way that you could like do the co-op campaign like online or something.
Okay, I'll tell you this much. There are some countdowns, like there's Screw Attack and a couple of other well-known users who've put together their own list of Super Nintendo games. But there's also one from the Angry Video Game Nerd channel where James Friend of
Awesome.
the yeah, he had the most rare games in a countdown, including Demon's Crest and Wild Guns. There are games that were very similar to Golden Axe for the Genesis, one similar to another game, but were considered heavily underrated. And I believe he also included Firepower 2000.
See, this is what game companies need to do. I know that this is, and even in the movie industry, they need to take these underrated movies that like nobody liked or no, that not enough people know about, remake them, and make them well known. I think that would be a good start to fixing how crappy the media has become, and like even gaming has become, because it's a lot like I don't know. There's been a lot of I feel like on many cases the gaming community and just gaming in general has started on a slow descent to absolute crap. Now, sure, there are
Yeah,
a lot of great games that have been made today, like from recently, but there's an overwhelmingly bad selection, and or that are just or like games like Halo that are just mind-numbingly simple, and and the only thing that makes them hard is the difficulty level that you put them on. And I feel like if they really if the gaming just the whole thing wants to make a good comeback, it should um, just start
tweak some
making
things
old
around.
game
Yeah.
like if you want to remake a game, remake one of the ones that are underrated and unheard that's less than heard of.
That all depends on the because there's some popular titles that received a lot of reception and made a lot of money, and for people who are familiar with them would check them out. If you were to remake a game that is considered underrated and not as well known, it does increase the risks of not doing well upon its sales. Now, at the same time, it's not a complete guarantee because there are also new games, so to speak, that involve similar ideas to what older games were. Like there's N Plus, which I don't know how well it did upon the sales when it was for Xbox
That
or Xbox
M
360.
plus is N plus. I think I know what you're talking about. Good
It's a
game. I liked
platformer,
it.
but
Oh yeah, I like that.
um,
That was a really cool game.
yeah, it wasn't a remake. So there could be possibilities that there are just some games that people can just like have a good first impression on, like N plus, and they would discover, oh, this is a remake of this game. I've never heard of it. Sometimes it could happen that way, or it could
Yeah.
just be something that they're not too familiar with, or they can just completely ignore it, depending on other releases. Because that's kind of what happens to games that are underrated, or how they get underrated. Not
Mm.
just in games, but in movies. It's a little bit of a stretch to refer to an example here, but in movies, there was a Disney film called Treasure Planet, and it didn't do very well at the box office because it was released at the time Harry Potter was out, and more people drew
Oh.
attention to that.
That's something similar with Oliver and Company. That game, that movie. Silence, monkey.
I would love to see a game of Oliver and Company.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
But yeah,
Yeah, but that
that
came out like
happened.
during the time of the Little Mermaid and all that other junk. Shadowed,
Well,
overshadowed.
okay. The Little Mermaid came out a year later, but also in 1988 was The Land Before Time, and that's where that movie was a lot more successful compared to Oliver and Company.
Yeah, that's true too.
And there's also the reception at that time where people were more underwhelmed with Oliver and Company and were more into The Land Before Time, and it may have grown into becoming one of those underrated titles, so to speak. So it's a matter of trial and error, but there's also a matter of how people react to
Well,
certain medias and what they're accustomed.
I would just like a game company to be ballsy enough to make these titles, not entirely too worried about the sales. Like they want to they make it with a passion. They make it really good, and and I think that would
Yep.
just make it do
Agree.
well. But
Oh
Agree.
yeah, I'm sure that they're passionate about it. Like recently, there was the Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse, was redone, and there was also a redoing of TMNT4 Turtles in Time, which didn't get a very good reception.
well, apparently according to that, like the controls were really colors were pukey and just
Yeah.
Jet Set Radio Future or something.
Mm.
Now that game had a lot of color to it. That game had
That
like a lot of the games today. Actually, that's one of the big things about the games today is that a lot of them are missing vibrant colors. Really,
Yeah, that's true.
like to go back to like Fallout here. Fallout 3, I feel like is a much weaker game than Fallout New Vegas, is because there's not as much. I understand that the whole thing is that you're supposed to feel alone, but that doesn't make you feel more immersed into the game. And the colors are almost the same everywhere you go. It's like a dim gray, greenish area, and
yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
immersive. Like I feel like even though that New Vegas doesn't have that much more of a color palette, it still has a bit more of a color palette to make me more immersed in the game. There's more characters in the game to make me like want to play it more.
Yep.
And I think that's something that Sandbox struggle with though, is being able to keep the player immersed in the world while still keeping like
Mm,
characters interesting and all that other
yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Far
it once again narrows down to conveyance. Sorry, go ahead.
Far Cry games, they did a great job. The people that make Far Cry.
Yeah, I won't doubt that.
Far Cry 3 was fun. I couldn't stop playing that when I got it.
One game I actually want to get is Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon.
Oh,
Because the
that's
dialogue and the writing in that game is absolutely brilliant.
it's down good.
Anyway, go ahead, Golden Fox.
Um, yeah, it all narrows down to conveyance and its presentation to keep the viewer interested. Again, that roots back to the intro stage that Ego Raptor explained in the comedic psychological way. Um,
Psychology is good,
yes,
but yeah,
yes,
like I just love the way he puts it.
intro
I can't
stages.
get out of here. Wait, I can fly down this wall. What?
What is that? Flashback, the charge shot. What is that? I want that. Oh, you hold your fire pet.
It gives you something to look forward to. It gives you a reason. It gives you a goal to have.
That's something I have to give Capcom credit for because the way they designed their games back then were in a way that whatever new features they have, they make level designs convenient for those features, such as the charging of your blaster in Mega Man X or your ability to wall jump, or if a bit of a stretch here, the Ghouls and Ghosts series. In those, they have level designs that have
Shut
far
up!
stretches where you actually are able to double jump, but you're going to have to double jump in order to proceed with the stages. Or in Ghouls and Ghosts for the Genesis, they have a feature where you can shoot upward. Well, there are some stages that takes you upward that you have to be ready to shoot upward. So the features it has are far more convenient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, continue a little bit on that, it's one of the things that one of the new games like Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, that right there was an amazing game.
Awesome. Really
Bowser's
fun.
Inside Story is probably the best of them. I think it just has the most going for it. The storyline is excellent. The fact that you can play as Bowser is amazing. The grinding didn't feel like you didn't have to grind to beat the final boss, which is really good. And well, you didn't have to grind to beat the final boss in Saga either. But the newest one that they came out with, I don't want to say it's severely disappointing because it's not.
No.
It's not a bad game in the slightest. The overwhelming amount of tutorials that they have and that last throughout the entire game is something that, it didn't bother me all that much personally, but I can understand why it's a bother. Because your freaking pillow is trying to tell you how to do everything. Just like, God damn it, shut up. I don't need to learn every new thing that you have to say.
That kind of narrows down to a show don't tell scenario. And what's actually even sadder, if I were to root back, is that in X5, literally there's a tutorial section during the intro stage that tell you, oh yeah, if you hold your blaster you can charge it. Like, really? After 5 games I'm playing in, you're now telling me this?
I'm recording something.
Yeah, that sucks. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Because well, I also want to finish just this because I want to gripe about how they kind of force you to grind to beat the final boss. Because the final boss in Dream Team is almost nearly invincible if you can't do enough damage to him because he heals like every other turn in some cases. But anyway, I can understand how the show don't tell works, and generally showing is the better option. I mean, sometimes having it flat out explained to you can help better than showing because you're not really like. If you see, I'm trying to think of a decent example of this, and it's no good ones are coming to mind, but like if you see like something happen and you don't understand how that happened, it's nice for them to tell you how it happened. But
yeah,
I don't know. It depends on like I guess what you're doing. I can't think of a good scenario where telling is better than showing, and that's one of the reasons why the Mega Man games did so well. I think.
Mega Man, those are throwing jaws. They'll wrap around and do this, so you better watch. I can see that already.
Shut up! No one likes you, you raging little cunt. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That was. No, I love how angry Ego Raptor gets in his sequel life at her. So funny.
Or he gets mad in what is it? The Castlevania games where he's dealing with those Medusa heads. It's like Medusa, and it just jumps to the next.
Actually, one of the more recent games that had a big problem with that was let me think for a second. Skyward Sword. There we go. Because you had that damn sword telling you, Mega Man, there's a 60% chance and a 70% chance of rain and a 70%, 66% chance of getting your butt kicked by this beast.
I have to admit, that's pretty priceless.
Thank you. I mean, that was a bit of an exaggeration, but she doesn't shut up. And when you're getting told off by your sword, that's not okay. That is not okay.
No.
I don't know. That game was interesting enough, though. I like the storyline. Like Twilight Princess is probably the most linear Zelda game ever.
I know.
And unfortunately, that's also my favorite one, though, simply because you could turn into a wolf.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. I think they made it linear because, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I also had trouble with. I'm just being an example. Just giving an example here. Ocarina of Time had a lot to figure out. Like I had trouble
which was
getting
good.
to the Forest Temple,
Yeah,
and
that was a pain in the butt.
yeah, and stuff like that. And I think they wanted to make it linear again, and not to mention the reception that happened with Majora's Mask. So I think they wanted to
Yeah.
change it up again.
Majora's Mask was widely liked though. That's the thing. Like,
I hated that time limit. If they didn't have that time limit, that would have been an awesome game.
yeah, no,
I think that's what
that's the
drove people
biggest gripe that I
nuts.
have with that game too, is the time limit. But honestly,
What
Majora's Mask is a lot better of a game than Ocarina of Time, to
What
be
did you guys
honest.
think of Legend of Zelda Wind Waker?
Wind Waker, of Wind Waker.
I didn't play much of Wind Waker. I did it.
Yeah,
Once again, it's one of those innovative games on the GameCube that people hated. I didn't go completely against it. It was just a new style that they were going for,
yeah,
and I can kind of see why that is. Because if they did go in the same direction, it would have been too boring.
yeah,
However, I didn't make much progress in that one because I was just more into other games, like I was into playing
yeah.
Splash Brothers and such. And
Yeah.
I think that happens to some people, but
I was into
Well,
the True
Animal
Crime
Crossing is
games and stuff.
was a really awesome, innovative game. Because Animal is huge now, but people tend to forget that Animal Crossing started off on the GameCube.
mhm.
And
I
like
also
Animal Crossing was just it has like it's a game technically about nothing, but
yeah.
it does it really
Well,
well.
Well, isn't there also Harvest Moon where you do a lot of work and they actually make it entertaining? I still have yet to
Yes,
play Harvest
actually.
Moon. Yeah, like
I haven't played that yet. I haven't quite played that yet, but yes, I understand.
I haven't played it yet either. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I haven't played it yet, but I've heard about it. I've seen the gameplay of it. And
Yeah, there's like one for I think every console. Like there was one for the Super Nintendo, then one for the 64. I think there was one for a PlayStation. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right, to be honest. I think you're right. But yeah, that was like yeah, all you do is like chores and other things, but that's what made it fun. They managed to make that work. And there's like a Digimon game where it's basically you're just raising Digimon and
Digimon, great anime.
Digimon like and I think it's called like I have it still somewhere. It's like Digimon World Championship or something. Where
Hmm.
basically the entire point of the game is I'm trying to think of a game to reference it to that is like it, but I basically you have little areas that like you could put your Digimon in, and each
Hmm.
area will help them grow a little bit, and like you could give them toys or you like to tell them you could tell them um,
Someone's gaming.
train or whatever, and it's a very and you have to clean up after them. They're basically like your pets, and it's a game about I guess, and it's essentially a responsibility of taking after your pets and having them go off and kill things for you, and like beat other Digimon, and it was just really fun. I couldn't explain why, but I can't really explain why it's fun, but it is.
Someone's gaming because I could hear a remote going. Or controller.
Yes. You know what? I'm
first,
gonna turn on the webcam.
first it was my
I think that'll start getting recorded too.
There might
first
be some
it,
periodic recording.
first it was my key. First it was my
Well,
keyboard.
hey, you said you've always wanted to stream for a Let's Play.
That's a
First it
little
was
weird.
first it was my keyboard sound. Now it's his controller.
Hey, look, it's not my fault that that's what you're doing right now, Golden. You know this is true. You cannot blame me for. Oh, you're up to that boss. That boss.
We are
Yes.
now watching Golden.
Yes, this podcast that was about linear gaming has now turned into a half-baked stream on him playing Super Metroid.
Don't monetize this video because there's game footage in here. You don't want to get copyrighted.
No,
I
you
don't
can,
monetize videos.
I
Come
don't
on.
monetize videos
Come
either,
closer.
Okay, good.
and you can't get monetized for game footage. You can't get copyrighted for game footage. It's mostly sounds.
Unless it's Nintendo.
Got him. Oh no!
Is this
Got
gonna
it.
be like yesterday when you died and then you still succeeded in the end?
No, I managed to survive.
All right. Well,
This
this
is a fun podcast.
this is a fantastic podcast.
And it's actually going on for a while.
We've been recording for
Almost 2 hours.
an hour and 21 minutes.
Oh, on my end it says an hour and 31 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't start recording until like 10 minutes in. Anyway, I'm gonna have to cut some of this out because at this point we're just rambling on about random crap. But this has been Renzios, and I think we're about done here.
Yes.
Thank you both for joining me today.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
All right. Hope to see you next time, everyone.